Welcome to another episode of the Art of Feminine Negotiation podcast. I'm your host, Cindy Watson, and I am so thrilled to be introducing you today to Jeanna Gabellini. Welcome, Gina. It's so great to have you here.
I'm super excited we get to play in this way.
Absolutely. And today for our listeners, we're going to be talking about negotiating your pricing and winning over ideal clients, how to fight those entrepreneurial gremlins. And although she needs no introduction, I'm sure, just in case for those who may not have had the pleasure of ever experiencing Gina, Gina's a master business coach. For 25 years now, she's been helping entrepreneurs make more money, attract their very best clients with stress-free strategies. And her genius, she's known for, is liberating business owners from that curse of, that feeling of not enough, or that myth that only hard work pays off. And Gina's the co-author of Life Lessons for Mastering the Law of Attraction, with none others, along with Eva Gregory, Mark Victor Hansen, and Jack Canfield himself. And her newest books are 10-Minute Money Makers and Rock Your Profits. And I had the pleasure of meeting Gina last year in Arizona. She just rocked my world. Her energy is off the chart. She is brilliant, but down to earth and fun and accessible. And you are going to just love her to pieces, as I do. So Gina, you've been doing this for 25 years, so you were clearly way ahead of the curve. I mean, everybody's jumped on this sort of coaching and business entrepreneurial bandwagon, but tell us about how you got into the business so far ahead of the curve.
Well, I was one of those resistant people. I usually am. I'm a slow adapter to most things. And somebody introduced me to a transformational workshop, and I was like, I don't need to work on myself. I like myself. And I went and I loved it. I ended up working for that company. I ended up coaching for them, except the coaching part I did for free. And then someone told me, there was like, hey, there's a school for coaching. Again, resistant.
Yeah.
I already know about coaching. Tell me something I don't already know about coaching. Well, I learned a whole bunch I didn't know about coaching.
Very cool.
And I fell in love with it. I just freaking fell in love with it. And I've gone through so many, transformations of what my niche was. Because at first it was like most people, I want to coach everybody. Yeah, the whole world is my audience. I can help everybody.
I know.
And now it's come down to mostly entrepreneurs now and focused on clients and money, because I think that we all have crap about money. We all do. I coached a multi-billionaire.
Wow.
I think I was not even making, she found me in my worst year ever. I had like slid back. I'd been making like 6 figures or something. I dropped down to like 40 grand a year. I was in such debt. I'm like, oh my God, if people found out.
my credibility.
My life looks like crap behind the scenes financially. And here I was calling myself an abundance coach. I'm like, oh, bad, very bad. So I think that I landed on money because I figured, you know what? Entrepreneurs always want to make more money, or they want it to be easier. And really, everything impacts business. Your personal life impacts it. All your thoughts impact what happens in your business. So I just coach people on this, and then we can weave everything else in.
Yeah, I love that. And it's one of the things I really love about you and your business, Gina. It's that, because your approach, it's not just about the dollars. I mean, I know you do amazing work getting people to get way more money and to step into that abundant lifestyle, but you go deeper on that all important, inner work that a lot of people don't think of or don't realize they need. So, and I'm wondering, how did you come to recognize the importance of that, especially in the entrepreneurial niche where everything tends to be all about money, money? How do you get the money? And you go so much deeper with your clients.
Well, I love money. But I think a lot of people say they don't care about the money, but then they're stressed because they're broke.
Yeah.
And they actually really do want the money. They just, they have to get to, well, what is on the other side of money? I see money as a game, money as your friend. Money is there to support you. You just need to direct it where to go. So, we got to make friends with money. But I also feel like if you connect to what's on the other side of money, now you've got some like heart and juice in it. It's like, we need something for the money to come to you for. It's like, I want to build my savings for my kid to go to college, because I see a lot of people go broke, sending their people to college. I don't want that. Okay, let's make money for that. Or, I'm sitting in my cabin right now. It was like a 30-year long dream. And I'm like, well, how am I going to buy a cabin? You can't get mortgages for these places because they're on forest land.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I found a house I want, but I'm getting it. I don't know
Yeah.
how. We have no cash. And I'm
Yeah.
not taking it out of my savings, like out of retirement and all that. So
Yeah.
we're going to create a way. And of
Yeah.
course, 2 weeks later, plop, all this money that wasn't there before
Yeah.
shows up in my business checking. And I'm like, well, hello, cash. We
I
get to buy a
love
cabin.
that. I love that. And it goes to show you the power of the law of attraction. And I find in particular, women tend to, I mean, I think everybody has money baggage, but women in particular, probably not surprising, given that, it's not that long ago, women couldn't even hold property or have credit in their own name or have the right to vote or even be recognized as persons. So probably not a big surprise. There's some baggage there around money. But since you just talked about that sort of attracting that
Yeah.
cabin and to be able to get it,
So
talk about the law of attraction a bit for us. I know you've done a lot of work around that.
I fell in love with the law of attraction. I've always heard, back in like when I was 20 years old, I heard the concept to think is to create. And I thought, oh, so whatever you're thinking, you can create. This is cool.
Love that.
But I didn't really see anybody around me like holding the hard line on that.
Yeah.
Like even the company that I worked for that was teaching it, when it came to enrolling clients into the seminars,
Yeah.
it was like push, 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 push. I'm like, wait, what do you think is to create? I mean, I know we got to take action and all, but like the energy behind it was like, we got to hustle, we got to hurry up. It was all this stress around it. And stress is your trigger.
Yeah.
It's like your warning system that says, you actually don't believe that you're going to be able to pull this off. And you better pay attention, because if you keep moving forward, like just ignoring that little gremlin in your head, this is going to turn out to be a very bad ending.
Yeah.
Law of attraction is really first deciding what you want. I don't think enough of us make decisions. We say
Absolutely.
we hope, we kind of pray on things. We're like, that would be great. But immediately after that, we talk ourselves out of it. Like, why all the reasons why it can't happen, or it can't happen now, or it's going to be hard. And so law of attraction really is wherever you put your focus and the energy behind it is pretty much going to dictate your future. So pay attention. Doesn't mean you have to think positive thoughts all the time. Otherwise, I would be not manifesting anything. I have crap going in my head all the time.
I love it. And I love that, because our brain tries to give us what it thinks we want. So when we let that inner critic or those gremlins talk to us, our brain goes, okay, she doesn't think she can do this. Let me run and find some evidence of that. But the opposite is also true. When we tell, even if you don't believe it at first, I don't know if you subscribe to this, Gina, but like, even if you don't believe it, just constantly having those incantations, and every time you catch yourself with that negative thought about not being enough, just flip the story, right? Until it becomes so innate. I love that.
And you will have to flip the story if it's a topic where you've struggled for a long time, or you have this deep desire that keeps not coming through, like in the case of the cabin. You're going to have to decide many times a day. Oh, wait, I already decided this is what's going to happen.
Yes.
And in the beginning, from the very beginning, I was so hook, line, and sinker believing in law of attraction. People thought I was nuts, which made me start doubting, like, well, why does it feel so right to me? Because everybody's kind of making fun of me. And even in the coaching community, there was very few law of attraction coaches back then. People didn't really know what it was. And I felt like people were going like, ha, 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 ha. She's crazy. So I thought, well, you know what? If I die and I find out it's all a hoax, it doesn't matter, because it actually feels better and I'm not as stressed when I think this way. So there's no harm in it. I'm not losing money on it. It's like, it feels great. I might as well go for it, because I'm all like excited and I'm fired up about getting what I want. So let's go for it.
I love that, actually, that thought that what do you got to lose, right? Even if you don't believe it, even if it sounds hokey, even if it sounds woo-woo, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So, and you talked about not enough, and I really want you to dig on that, because I'd mentioned in the intro, and I truly do believe one of your absolute genius zones is liberating business owners from that curse of being not enough. And for women in particular, and again, for some of the reasons we just chatted about and a whole host other, like, from kindergarten, young boys are taught to make themselves bigger, right? They get their social status by making themselves larger than life. And young girls, as early as kindergarten, tend to recognize pretty quickly you're going to get shunned if you make yourself too big for your britches. So you better keep yourself small. So I'd love to, and I work with this with women in negotiating all the time. So where do you think that belief comes from? And what are some of your sort of tricks and strategies for how our listeners can bust that not enoughness?
Yeah, well, I think that we're just taking in things all the time, right? No matter who they're from, our experiences, we're just making up stories. And then we just see it. And if there's people around us affirming it all the time, and I'm going to, most of the world is constantly affirming things are tough.
Yeah.
It's hard. You have to do things a certain way. If you don't do it this way, especially in business, you're not going to get results. And I don't think that marketing and sales is a natural thing for most people.
Yeah.
It's just not, it's weird, especially in our industry. We're coaching people. It's like this whole feel good, intimate, amazing connection, interaction. And then what, we're going to go into selling mode. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's freaking weird. So I think that we have to come to, like, first of all, let's talk about making up stories around money. We just get to charge whatever the hell we want. This is the truth, and then we'll talk all around it. But the truth is, you can charge whatever you want because it's all relative. Yeah. Right? If you feel good about it and you can get behind the number, whatever the number is, then, and you trust yourself, like, I am of value. This is worth this much at least. Most people, I'm going to say 99% of the people out there, especially women, especially undervalue, price cut. They're worried about what other people are going to think. They're undervaluing their own work. They're making up stories about other people's finances, like just judging people. I don't think they can afford that. Look, your 5-star clients, the ones who are already looking for what you offer, they can afford anything, even if they think that they can't afford it at first.
So true.
Oh my gosh. I remember my current coach that I'm working with, it was about 1.5 years ago. I hadn't really even heard of this person before. I was interested. And then I said, you know what she announced some offer. I'm like, I'm interested. I'm just going to find out what it's about. I didn't expect it. It was for 6 weeks. It was 15 grand. Yeah. And it was like this group program with like 10-minute calls or something. You could have like a couple 10-minute coaching sessions. I'm like, 15 grand. I am so underpricing. But I thought, I really want this. But it was at a worse time. I was right before my big launch of the year. And I'm like, I'm not even going to probably leverage this. I'm so busy with my launch. And this is a bad time. And I told her that. I said, everything in me says yes, but the timing. And she goes, oh, sounds like you're in your head about it. And I'm like, you're right. And I said yes. And then I said yes to 60 grand. Yeah. And for a package where I got 2 20-minute calls per month. I'm like, I'm still so undervaluing myself, clearly. Yeah. But the fact is, if you would have told me ahead, I would have said, that's insane. Yeah. I don't have the money for that I want to pay. I feel like I should get more for that. And yet I really wanted the results. I knew I felt the connection with this person. So I said yes. And anytime a client says they don't have the money, a lot of times they don't. Yeah. They don't. Yeah. They don't see how they're going to do it. But I always tell them, once you're clear, I know you're super resourceful. Yeah. You will find the money. I know that. I will be here. And then I let it go. And then lo and behold, you'll see them within 12 hours, like the order comes through. They bought.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you touched on so much there. First, I love that you're encouraging and giving that sort of model for our listeners out there about taking that leap of faith, right? I mean, sometimes just go with that intuition and guts and don't get in your head and don't question and let all of that baggage come into play. So I love that. And I was laughing so hard because I've had the same experience. And I've come to realize, you know what? You don't want to be the Walmart in whatever your entrepreneurial business is. There's no value in that, right? I mean, and you see, and I think it was Christian Michelson once who said, no matter how little you charge, there'll be people who can't afford it. And no matter how much you charge, there will be people willing to pay it, right? So it really does come back to where you started there, Gina, about the value. And I'd love your input about, how you would encourage women to, in particular, like to find that value when they are questioning and have those gremlins. What are some of the little tips or tools that you'd suggest for them to start believing in their own value?
Yeah, I think it's important to actually have it in writing. Like when people say yes to this, whatever it is, a
Yeah,
product, a service, coaching, doesn't matter. What's going to happen in their lives?
yeah,
Because we usually focus on one thing. Like, okay, if someone came to me, I could say, I'm going to help them get more clients. That's one thing. That's what the client wants. But all the things that are going to happen because of that are
yeah,
massive. They're
yeah,
going to have more money. They're going to be less stressed. They're going to be more in their creative zone. If you try, at least write a list of 20 things,
I
at
love that.
least. I know you can. And then anytime you're questioning, go, wait a minute. Hello, look at all these people are going to get. I should be charging 100 grand. I should be 200 grand.
Yeah,
And I think we often, I know a lot of people say, well, you can charge more because you help people make more money. And I used to do personal life coaching on
yeah,
law of attraction. I used to teach classes on just manifesting.
yeah,
That's so soft. That's so
yeah,
general. But we would charge huge amounts of money.
yeah,
And I say we because I also did it with my friend Eva.
yeah,
And it doesn't really matter if people feel uplifted when they want that thing that they want.
yeah,
They will pay whatever if they think you are the right person, the right brand, the right company to deliver that. I don't care if it's like I remember thinking, I just a lot of times I'll think something is expensive at first, then I experience it. I'm like,
yeah,
wow,
yeah,
that person does not charge enough for this,
absolutely. Yeah,
right? Like I had this woman who does, I don't even know what you would call it, but her whole shtick is, I'll help you get out of back pain.
yeah,
She does this weird, like, it's not weird. It's just, I've never seen it before. She's
yeah.
like this engineer. She can look at your body, like on Zoom, have you
Wow.
do stretches. And got out of like pain so bad. I was crying. I couldn't
Yeah,
walk. And like in less than 24 hours, I'm like out. I'm like, I would have paid this woman tens of
yeah,
thousands of
yeah,
dollars
yeah,
for
yeah,
this. And here she
absolutely.
probably thinks she's at the top of her league, right? She was charging
Yeah,
me like, I don't remember, 1,000 a month or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
I'm like, oh no, I'm living again. I am happy. I can function. This is awesome.
yeah. And how important is it, you think, for the entrepreneur to really own their own value? Like internally, I'm talking about for themselves to be able to put that value out to other people, right? Because I think that's where a lot of the sticking point is that when we're still having that I'm not enough feeling and we're not really owning our own value in ourselves, it's hard. No matter how much you can benefit people, in my experience, you're not going to convince them. It's not going to resonate because you're being held back by your lack of belief in your own value. How important do you think that is?
It's huge. I think there's two things. There's unattachment,
Yeah.
which is if I trust that I can get what I want in the long run, I'm not so holding on so tightly to this particular client or
Mm,
this particular strategy,
love
marketing
that.
strategy, whatever it is, because you keep coming back to, wait a minute, I have decided that I get to have a successful business.
Yeah.
I have decided, like, here's all the things I've decided. And I have decided I'm willing to play the long game. Because at first, you might not see
Yeah.
any evidence that this is
Yeah.
working. You're going to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
So play the long game, and it will end up being actually the short game. So what if you have to wait 3 months?
Yeah.
Hey, if you make 100 grand on the other side of this, would you be
Absolutely.
crying? No, you'd be happy. So who cares if you have to wait a couple of months?
Yeah.
But the other thing is, sometimes you can't talk yourself out of the devalue. Like you're just so in your head.
Yeah.
And I think that when that happens, you just have to get out of your head. You got to, I always say, when in doubt, focus out. As soon as you
Nice.
get back to whatever is happening with the potential client
Yeah.
and you give your attention to them, you'll be off your own stuff. You're not going to be thinking about you. You're
Love it.
focused on, what does this person need? How can I support? And make it all about them instead of all about you. And action
Beautiful.
is helpful.
Yeah.
Action, sometimes you can't get your head in the right place. Well, it's like, well, can you sink your teeth into, like in today, I was on the new platform Clubhouse, and I was listening and I was doing other things while I was listening.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I have something of value. I can contribute here.
Yeah.
And as soon as you do that, it's like, oh, the more I'm talking, the more I'm getting revved up, the more I'm like inspired.
Yeah.
Because now I'm being of contribution. I'm taking action. I'm not just sitting idle in my house. And I think especially now, right? Well, we can
Yes.
all work from home as an entrepreneur, but
Yeah.
especially now, we're in our homes way too much with our
Yeah.
thoughts.
Absolutely. So true. And I love that. Again, just to recap that when in doubt, focus out. I hadn't heard that before. I love that, Gina. I think that's great. And that so tied so nicely to that action piece as well. And I also love that you really tackled that myth about hard work. Everything has to be hard work paying off. And again, it's one of those areas I see all the time, my own coaching work, and I believe we're at our best personally when we live on purpose and with purpose. And when you love what you do and you do what you love, and then it doesn't have to be hard, right? You don't have to be that salmon swimming upstream. So how and when did you come to that realization? And I guess, what are some of your hot tips for how do you fight that belief that everything has to be hard to be effective?
Well, I'm just going to wake y'all up if you think that, because if you're working hard and it feels like, man, I don't like enjoying doing this, but I know I should do this for my business, you are the salmon in
Yeah.
that moment, because you are following the wrong path. Because if you're
Yeah.
not excited about it, you're not going to be in your creative zone. You're not going to be willing to play the long game because you hate the thing.
Yeah.
And you won't, like, time won't expand for you. I'll give an example. Last year in the middle of summer, I was not looking for this, but I ended up on a free webinar listening to
Yeah.
Ryan Levesque talk about creating quizzes. And I'm like, wow, he is making this sound so exciting. I was like so on fire about it.
Yeah.
But then I bought the program. I was very excited about it. And then I got into the program. I'm like, oh my God, these modules are like hours long. I don't have time for this right now. And then I was frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, someday I'm going to get back to it. When God knows when that will be. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And then he came on this mastermind I'm in, sharing a special deal. Like, you know what, you guys, I'm going to do a free, like, 3-hour session. I'm going to give it all this information condensed. I'm like, oh, hallelujah, I'm there.
Yeah.
And then he gave a special deal where I've been paying for the software I wasn't using to do the quiz, because I had been waiting 6 months, like, I'll get back to it. I'll get back to it.
Yeah.
He offered a free deal
Wow.
for this if we did something in return. But yeah, the catch was, and it was a catch, this happened right before Christmas. You have to get this done in 3 weeks, because it is the only time I can make my team available for all of you. There was, like, I don't know how many, 50 of us.
Wow.
But, all colleagues, for you to do this. And I'm like, over Christmas? Oh, this is so not going to work. We were up at my cabin. My mom was here. We wanted to ride dirt bikes. We wanted to go snow skiing. I'm like, oh my God, this is really bad. But coming back to the power of decision,
Yeah.
I'm really excited about doing a quiz, and I would really like to have it done in that time frame. Not only because I want the software free, because I could use this for my launch. It's coming in February. This is perfect.
Absolutely.
But I didn't work on it until it felt right. And then one day, during the vacation, I said, hey, I'm going to go down. I'm in my laundry room right now. At the cabin. There is no office up
laundry
here.
room woman.
And I said, okay, I am going to just go down there for a couple hours. And I got into it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I can do this. There's going to be a lot of steps, but I'm really excited about this. And that's how you know you're on the right track.
Yeah.
When you're excited about it, it's going to be profitable. You don't even have to test the thing.
Yeah.
It's like you can feel it. Your excitement is your signal. Like before, when it feels tired and you're pushing yourself, that's your warning signal. Stop.
Yeah.
It's your, like, green light, go. This is going to be badass. This is a winner. When you are so fired up, it's going to win. You might have to tweak it. You might have to finesse it a little bit. You might have to do a little makeover on it. It may not be perfect the first time out, but you are headed in the right direction. For sure. Guaranteed, it can be no other way, period.
Nice. Mic drop. And you know what I love about that example? That's a double whammy, actually, because it talks about that hard work, that belief that things have to be hard, but also the law of attraction, right? When you were ready and open and said you wanted it, that came, and it came for friggin' free. And it came taking all those hours and hours of modules you didn't want to listen to in a little crash course. So you wanted it, you believed in it, you attracted it. And I love that.
And so that comes back to too, not forcing it before it's time.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people probably listening, if they are in this niche at all, they probably have bought a lot of things or a lot of programs and not used. And I always say,
Oh,
even those, if you felt good while you were buying it, it was the right decision. You may or may not go back to it. You may have just cracked open the first module
yeah.
and you got what you needed out of it. But it's like, even on our side of things for your business or whatever you're doing, you got to feel good. It's like when you create something to sell, you got to feel good before, during, and after when people buy it. It's the same thing when you invest in anything in your company. This is going to help you trust the decisions you're making, which will help you get more clients, which is when I'm investing, I got to make sure I feel good before, during, and then of course you'll feel good after. Don't make it wrong. Don't have buyer's remorse. Stay strong and like, if I chose it, it was the right thing to do.
I love that. And I love that because sometimes I find, and this is not at first, but I've come to really see that sometimes it's just the doing it. Like even with my own clients, and I often say, the second they believe in themselves enough to just take that step and say, yes, I'm in, they've already made a change, right? And whether it's signing up for a Facebook challenge or whether it's signing up for a mastermind program or getting, as you say, a little program, it's the believing in yourself and taking that step to go forward that creates that momentum. And that in and of itself has some value, I always think. So, yeah. And when you talk about hard work, I find that a lot of entrepreneurs really struggle because they work so hard to try and attract clients, and they end up struggling because they're like, I just need people, I need bodies, and they attract people who aren't their ideal clients, and they're fighting for people who aren't even their ideal clients, and it creates this tension, and then they don't love what they're doing. And I know, again, you are a total master at that, winning over your ideal client, which is such a game changer. So I'd love if you could tell us a bit about how to master that.
Yeah. So let's just say up front, this thought came in my mind, so I'm going to share it. If someone seems like a pain in the butt in the beginning, they are going to be a bigger pain in the butt later. Just saying.
Yeah.
And if you're really focused out on your potential client, or if you're doing marketing, you're focused on, well, what's in it for them?
Yeah.
Whether you're giving away something for free or you're making an offer for something that's paid, is if you're really in it for them, you only want it if it's right for them. And more importantly, you, because if you take on clients that you don't like, you are constantly going to attract more clients you don't like, and you're going to feel yourself bending and contorting to make them happy. I did do this in the beginning because I was like, you're going to pay me money? I will take you. Hell yeah. Come on in. Take a seat. And then they would say, well, I can only do a session at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it. 7 o'clock at night. Okay. I didn't have kids back then. Okay. I will take it. I got time. I don't have a boyfriend. I don't got anything going on but a dog. Okay. I need the money. But what ended up happening is that is a lack mentality. That is again, an alarm system. When you're taking anybody, you feel like, I need this client. It is your alarm system that you are actually going to repel your 5-star clients. Yes. The ones who really want you, the ones who will become super fans, the ones that will buy over and over and over. Like I have 3 clients right now who've been coaching with me for over a decade.
Wow.
A decade.
Wow.
That's insane.
I love it. Quite the compliment.
So it's because they're 5-star. And I remember sometimes, though, I do want to say this, you can turn a not so 5-star client into a 5-star, again, with the power of thought. There was a client, and I thought, I don't care how much money this person pays me. Like this, I'm feeling like this is hard work. Yeah. I feel like they are so resistant to everything I'm suggesting. And I knew I was pissing them off. Now, I've pissed off clients my whole life, but it's because, I'm holding the hard line. I can see through all the BS. Yeah. They don't like it. And they're like this, and they think about it. And the next session they come back and they're like, all right, I was really mad, but I thought about what you said. But this person wasn't doing that. And I'm like, this is an hour of torture. And so I thought, well, what am I expecting? I'm expecting every session with this client to be hard because that's the way it's been up until now. And
Mm,
now it's locked in. And
yeah.
so I'm coming with this whole energy of like, oh, I see
Yeah.
so-and-so's on my calendar today. I don't look
Yeah.
forward to that. Normally when there's a client, you want to look forward to the
Yeah.
call. You don't want to be like, oh, great, it's them.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I just wrote out, I scripted like, okay, let's imagine it's already happened. I've already had the session. It was the best session ever. What would that feel like for me? What
Yeah.
would be happening for the client? And I just wrote it all out. It was the best session I have ever had with that person, bar none.
Wow.
And now not every session since then, that was years ago,
Yeah.
has been that person's still my client. Um,
Wow.
that it's not always been a high like that, but I've never had a session where it was miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never, never again. And while the client might be struggling, I also didn't take it on like, does this person thinking I'm a
Yeah.
crackpot? This person's very formal.
Yeah.
I am not. And
Yeah.
so for me,
No.
I like to have, even in the most harsh of times, I'm going to try to lighten the
Yeah.
mood because I know that if we stay in the intensity, it's just going to get more intense. So I like to lighten it. I felt like, does this person ever laugh? Like ever? Does
Yeah.
this person ever have fun in their life? But there were more giggles and there were
Yeah.
like giggles out loud. And we just been having more of a good time since then. So you can with a decision. And if that person doesn't shift, the bravest thing you could do is actually take a stand and say, you know what? I feel like I am not of service to you. You
Yeah.
can try to redesign the alliance and
Yeah.
recreate like, hey, I'm noticing that, is there something that we can do to make this better for you and better for me? Because here's what I'm noticing or here's what I'm feeling. And then if that doesn't work, I feel like you would get better service from somebody else. I just don't think it's a match anymore. And,
Yeah.
leave it at that.
I love that. And I've never heard anybody talk about, I love that idea as well about sort of taking ownership first, before you look at firing the client, take that ownership piece and say, all right, how can I visualize? How can I use the law of attraction to make this relationship different, or at least maximize the chance that we can make it better? I think that's super powerful advice. And then if it's obvious that there's still just not a great fit and you're not loving it and you're not feeling the joy bringing it as well, to give the option. I remember really early in my career, and again, when you're first starting and I'm talking as a lawyer now, not so for my Women on Purpose coaching, and they'd said the key to being happy as a lawyer is being prepared to fire your clients. If it's not an ideal client for you, then don't keep them. And if somebody shows you who they are, believe them, right? So really, I love that advice. And I want to, now that we've got that sort of ideal client, and I think that's so important as that starting point for people. And it goes back to that value as well. And I love that you use the word lack, because it's that coming from a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset, right? And that ties back, and I know we touched a bit on pricing, but I'd love to come back to that now, because again, you're so great at that, Gina, right? So like how to fight those gremlins that keep us from pricing ourselves at the right point. What are some of your tips for people to be able to really dig in on that? So, and I know you talked about
I
the
think there's,
value of what you offer, but if you can take that a level deeper for us, that'd be awesome.
yeah. So I think we need to be fluid with our pricing, especially in the beginning where obviously it needs to be profitable. And some of you may even know, like, I know this is valuable, but like, just can't get myself to raise my prices, even though I know I should. So don't go for the Mac Daddy price at first. You don't need to shoot
Yeah.
right to the top. Back it back down. There's no shame in that because if you choose a price and you actually can't get behind it,
Yeah.
you're going to have some weird energy going
Yeah.
underneath the
Oh,
surface, and your potential client may not know what it is. They'll like you, but they won't take the next step to buy
yeah.
because you just got that funky,
Yeah.
weird thing going on where you're uneasy. So it's price it at whatever you can do, even if it's a little bit of a stretch to pop it out of your mouth, but you don't want to be having an anxiety heart attack.
Yeah.
So one of the ways I started in the beginning was back in the day. I don't know if people still do this or not, but when I first started coaching, it was fairly new profession, and there was like the people who were setting the standards were the people like in the coaching schools, and they were telling you, start out at $50 a month,
Wow.
$100 a month, and then work your way up. And the best of the best, like the people teaching the schools,
Yeah.
they were at $350 a month, and I was like, I am never going to make enough money.
Yeah.
I don't have enough hours in a day to make money at what they're telling me to do. And I learned that very quick. I'm like, okay, it's just pure math here. I used to make more managing a retail store than I'm doing working in my own business, working my tail off.
Yeah. Yeah. It's less than minimum wage.
This is not cool.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, when I dreamed of my own coaching business, I thought, I just want 10 clients every month, and I want to charge $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And other people around, when I would tell my vision to people, they were like, you can't do that unless you're doing corporate coaching. Granted, this is 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why would I charge? When I was coaching corporations, I was doing team coaching as well. And I'm like, well, why would I charge that person this much? But over here, I'm charging less. It's the same me who's showing up.
Yeah.
Oh, because you think this person has more money?
Yeah.
That makes it okay? No.
Yeah.
So I kind of worked on myself, like, okay, I'm going to go from at that point, I was up to $350 a month. And I'm like, but I want to step into 1,000. And I could not do it. I felt like I wanted to puke every time, it would come out. I'm like, nope, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. So I said, okay, what if I just say $500 to the next person who asks about coaching? And then once I get a yes, I'll raise it to 600, and I'll just do it in $100 increments.
I love it.
Well, luckily in those days, now we have Zoom. You got to see people if you're doing it on Zoom, but it was just on the phone.
Yeah.
So you could kind of cringe and go, it's $500. And you could cringe and still be nervous and nothing would show on your face.
Yeah.
And I said $500, and they said yes. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, okay. And then I went right to $1,000.
Nice.
And then I just kept raising it till, and then I just knew, it's like, I don't need to raise this until I feel inspired to raise it. And I stayed at $1,000 a month. I mean, I'm going to say for a decade.
Yeah. Wow.
Before I raised it again.
Wow.
Because I wasn't inspired to. So also make sure you're pricing for the right reasons. You're doing it because that's what you want, not because other people have higher pricing than you.
Great advice.
I do lots of low end offers. Coaching with me for the year is really expensive. One-on-one, but then I have other prices that are, I have other programs I teach that are $300 and I give all, but it's what feels right.
Love it.
In the moment. So make sure that, why am I choosing this price? What feels good? And there's no shame in baby stepping it up as it feels good. As long as it's profitable from the beginning, you may know consciously I'm underpricing, but you can't feel like you can get behind a higher number. That make it okay for right now.
Yeah.
Some more people, once you get some yeses, it'll give you more confidence. So it's like, just price it at what feels good right now, knowing you're going to bump it up, and like get out there and help people, because your 5-star clients are looking for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like you rob them if you're over here like all focused on your fear and you're scared and you're like, poor me. Focus out. They need you. If you're not going to make yourself available, they'll go pick someone else. It might as well be you.
That was packed with awesome information. Again, for our listeners out there, this is one of those episodes, trust me, you're going to want to go back and re-listen to this again and go back and take notes, because every one of these answers is packed with tidbits that are, each and every one of them are game changers in and of themselves if you take it and apply it and run with it and get into action. So we've talked sort of about value and sort of the working hard myth as well, and money baggage. What would you say is one other key piece of inner work that you find one of the key things that people need to address to really step into their most powerful self?
Well, what popped in my head doesn't seem to match what you asked, but I'll say it. Is
go for it.
Look for proof, because sometimes we, like I said, when you're super stuck around it, sometimes you need to look outside and see what other people are doing. And I remember part of my motivation for getting like the courage to finally up my rate at the time, maybe not back then, but another time when I was raising my prices, I thought, well, I knew Tony Robbins at that time was charging like $100,000 a year for, coaching or whatever he was doing. I thought, he's good, but I'm good.
I love that.
If he can charge it, I can surely charge that much. It's like, well, looking for proof of other people pulling it off.
Yeah.
And they're different. You don't need to be better.
Yeah.
And we don't need to I would have people come to me, right? And they're new at what they're doing. And maybe even like, maybe they want to become a coach.
Yeah.
They're like, I will be like, well, what's the number that popped in your head that you want to charge?
Right.
Well, I want this number, but that's almost as much as you, coach, and I'm brand new. So
Yeah.
so what? You have opinions, you have feelings, and I did crappy coach. I was a terrible coach in the beginning. It was all about my agenda. You said you want it, then great. I'm going to grab you by the throat and let's go. They're like, whoa, wait, I'm scared. Can we babysit this? No, let's go get it. Wait, I'm not ready. I don't care. You said you wanted it. We're going to get it. So I was a terrible coach in the beginning, but people still loved me and got value because I was showing up for them.
Yeah.
And that's what they just wanted, someone to be there, someone to believe in them.
Yeah.
And so don't minimize the little things that you do that will help people, even if you're new. I was helping people long before I was like, quote, certified.
Yes.
And I'm going to talk about certifications. There are certain things like being a lawyer where you need to go get the goods.
Yeah.
But there are other places where is training good? Totally. I can't even imagine me as a coach without coaches training.
Yeah.
I would not be good. And I would be doing it the same way. Would people still get results? Yeah. Would they be tortured in the process? Yes. But I thought, well, I need this and I need this. And I remember when they first, International Coach Federation first came out with, become a master certified coach. I'm like, oh, well, I will totally have way more credibility if I get a master certified coach.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what the hell that is. I was one of the first 20 people ever to get it, and nobody cares. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't make me any better of a coach. It just means I have a lot of hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can be new, you can be inexperienced and still be charging what you want. It's like all the things that we make up about pricing are actually irrelevant.
Yeah.
Can you show up for the client? Can you be in integrity for the client? Can you help them get results?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
And that's good enough.
And the key at the core, when at one point when you said as well, it's really at its foundation, it's about taking a stand for them, right? Being there and taking a stand for someone when they're not ready to take a stand for themselves yet, and helping them get to the stage where they can. So I love that. And
Even
for
in the
listeners,
buying,
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say something. Even when they are buying,
Yeah.
and because people will talk themselves out of things. Why?
Yes.
Because change is scary.
Yeah.
Because spending money is scary.
Yeah.
Because people have all their stuff in their head, just like we do.
Yeah.
So we need to take a stand when we are in conversation with potential clients and have like an honest conversation.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so what do you think? How are you feeling? What's your reaction?
Yeah.
If you're noticing they're like not say, because people will sometimes just be silent, right? Like you're like, here's my price.
Yeah.
And then they're just being quiet. I'm like, all right, I just say, what's going on? What are you thinking?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And then that opens up a conversation. It's just a conversation. So be willing to take a stand for them, even if they don't buy, when they're making the buying decision. You don't need to know how to sell great. You just need to how to keep showing up for that person and not getting into your own stuff. Like, oh my God, did they think it was too high?
Yeah.
Or are they like, don't think it's valuable? Oh my God, I need the money. I need to pay my mortgage. Just keep focused on them.
Yeah. And I love when you say it's about a conversation, right? Because that's that first call, that discovery session, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's going to be ideally the start of a relationship. And if you can't have that conversation then how are you going to have those conversations that you need going forward? So I love it. And I understand you have a free More Clients Now template for our listeners. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So I think it's the simple things. I don't think getting more clients needs to be complicated. I really don't. Like, do we need to know, like how to market and all those things? Yes. But do you have to be great at it to get clients? No. You can have I'm living proof. You can have really bad marketing. My marketing in the beginning was horrid. Probably the first decade. Bad. Could I still make multiple six figures? Yes.
Yeah.
And then when I got good, I could scale up, and then you can get to seven figures and all the other things if you want that.
Yeah.
But what I realized is a lot of it is just mindset.
Yeah.
Like, because your mindset is driving the strategy. It is the fuel for any marketing that you do. If you have the wrong mindset, but even if you're doing the right marketing, it's still not really going to get you a lot of clients. So this template is, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to do it more than once for it to work, because it's about shifting perception.
Yeah.
And so it's a little 5-minute thing you do every day, and it will help you reorient, reset where your head is.
Cool.
So that everything you do, any strategy you choose after that, will work 10 times better because your head is in the right place.
Love it. Love it. And so for the listeners out there, you can get that at moreclientsnowtemplate.com. And I'll make sure to throw that in the show notes as well. So that way you won't miss it. It's moreclientsnowtemplate.com. And my gosh, 5 minutes a day, you can all invest in that for yourself to move yourself forward. And I'm telling you, if Gina's put it together, you can bet your sweet patootie that this is pure gold. So, and speaking of mindset, what's one of the greatest mindset shifts that you've had in your life, Gina, whether around entrepreneur, whether around business or whatever? I'd love to hear that.
I think it always comes back to what I was talking about earlier, which is, have I made a decision to actually have the thing I want? Yeah. Have I moved from wanting to, no, I'm deciding? Because deciding's like, it's the same energy. If you decide you're going on vacation,
love it.
You mark it off in your calendar, you start taking steps, like, you know, you're going. And it may not be like, you know, we were supposed to go on mini vacations last year. That didn't happen. But one in particular was planned a year out, like more than a year out. And I was so excited. We were going to Sicily, going with my mom, my kids, my uncle was going to come. But you're planning for it, right? You're getting excited. Yeah. There's no proof while you're in the planning stages that you're actually going.
Yeah.
You know, we waited for the right, you know, you had to wait a while to get your airline tickets, but you're still going in your brain, you are going. And decisions have that same energy. Like, yeah, this is happening. I don't know how, it's not all come together yet, but it's happening. And knowing that you are okay while you're in the waiting stage.
Yeah. I love it. That is super, super powerful, Gina. Thanks for that. And for everybody else out there, if you want to learn more about Gina, and I really, really encourage that you do, I've got to tell you, anytime I've ever been online with Gina, or as I say, had the pleasure of spending a weekend with her, she brings such an incredible, gorgeous energy. And you can tell the people who work with her absolutely adore her and love her, and with good reason. She will help you take your business to the next level. So to learn more about Gina, check her out on Instagram or Facebook or Clubhouse at Jeanna Gabellini, and it's Gabellini. And again, I'll make sure to throw that in the show notes so that you can't miss her. And Gina, thank you so much for coming. This has been just so packed with, it's like little gold nuggets falling from the ceiling here. So, so excited to have you on the show. So thanks for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. Let's go forth and make powerful decisions.
I love it. And for our listeners, I'm sure you got loads of value from this episode. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to share this. Any of the entrepreneurs in your life who you care about, make sure to share the link. Let them listen to this. Let them get hooked up with Gina as well. You know, let's face it, who couldn't benefit? Anybody who's an entrepreneur is going to be able to move forward with, as I say, every single one of those questions was packed with multiple insights, any one of which can help move the dial for you. So make sure as well to join our Women on Purpose community, of course, at Women on Purpose community under Facebook groups. And that is a wrap for this episode. So until next time, go forth and negotiate your best life on your terms so you can stop missing out and start getting more of what you want and deserve from the boardroom to the bedroom.